Okay.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, fam.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good evening, y'all.
Good evening, good evening.
Hello.
Hope everybody is having a fantastic Monday.
Hello.
Hope y'all got y'all list ready for the blitz tomorrow.
I do.
You do?
I do.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. Oh, Jim Hicks.
Yes, sir.
They said Jim Hicks got that Amazon card for making them phone calls on that blitz. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I sure did.
Yeah, good stuff.
Sharonda's hiding, but I'm going to expose her anyway. She got one as well.
Yeah, I did. You came on time.
Congratulations. I know I was talking to you, Jim, and I've been talking to you anyway because I kind of work with you one-on-one. But it's funny that Jim had been making what you say, Jim, between 5 and 10 calls?
25 before about 5 or 10, yeah.
Yeah, Jim had been making about 5 or 10 calls, and he decided to step his game up and do 26 calls in one day and got an appointment. So yeah, the blitz is working. It's phenomenal. Has anybody want to throw their hand up real quick? Has anybody else decided to make calls on more than just the blitz day after we had that conversation where you're making calls? You have put on your calendar to make calls on more than just Tuesday. If anybody has, put your hand up real quick. Ask you a question.
A lot of them do it.
Huh?
I know it's a lot of them from the accountability do it.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Somebody put your hand up. Put your hand up.
Me. Got a few people with their hands up.
Oh, I meant your digital hand. I can't see y'all put your hand. I'm like, I don't see no hands up. I meant your digital hand because I can't see y'all's hand. I got too many screens from me, so I can't see y'all's actual hand go up. Let me see whose hands up. Okay, Vanessa Harris, Alice. Okay, all right. So Allison, not Allison, I'm sorry. Vanessa, unmute yourself real quick.
Yes, hello everyone.
Hey, Miss Vanessa.
Hey there.
Good. So you decided to do more than just the blitz day. So tell me how that's helped your calling experience in your business.
Well, actually, I don't do the blitz during the week because I work during the week.
Okay.
And so what I've been trying to do is stay committed to the Thursday evening call at 7 for Georgia and the Carolinas.
Gotcha. So they're doing the blitz.
Right.
Blitz. Okay.
So I plug in there on the evening. So that's going to be my commitment. And
have you started making calls at that time yet?
Oh yeah, I've been doing that probably like about the last month.
Gotcha. And has it been very helpful for you? Like, especially like with that calling at that time of day? Has it been good calling at that time of day?
It actually has, because I've been able to reconnect with people that I hadn't connected with in years. I still had their contact information. So I'm just using that to say, we've had such a crazy year and a half. So I'm just reaching out to see how things are going, and been able to get some appointments and a couple of members. So.
All right.
More just kind of further in the networking. So.
Okay. All right. Well, no, that's good stuff, and I appreciate that. Love to hear that. Love to hear the information on the calling. Thank you for that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Jody, unmute yourself, Miss Jody.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? Jody calling from Wisconsin. So what you doing with your calls? You doing more than just a blitz day?
Yep, I have been for a few weeks now. So even if I can schedule in, depending, half an hour, wherever I can, and just whether it's follow-ups, new calls, a lot of new calls, and so yeah, gosh, I'm trying to think how many how many I've been calling a week. It's probably between 20 to 30, but after this week though, because I've between the last 2 weeks, I've been transitioning over to staying at my mom's and helping her. So these last couple weeks have been a little chaotic, but after this week and starting next week, I'm going to be pushing for 40 calls a week.
40 calls a week. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Good stuff. Yep. And how many days a week are you calling?
2 to 3, I'd say.
2 to 3 days a week. Okay. And are those
Yeah.
all initial calls, or are some of those follow-up calls?
Some of them follow up, but I want to be hitting at least 30 to 35 new ones a week, and then the follow-up ones. But I really need now that I can start refocusing next week. It's definitely going to be an increase. So yeah.
Gotcha.
And then hopefully, I mean, that's where I'm going to start, and then work my way up to 50 or more coming 2022.
Good. Well, next week on the call, we're going to talk a little bit about strategizing, especially for the new year. And I'm going to be going over a chart, and we're going to talk about how to get yourself between $50,000 and $70,000 over the next 12 months with 20 hours a day. 20 hours a week. So we're going to strategize, and a lot of that's going to be about
That sounds better than 20 hours a day.
Huh? Yeah. 20 hours a day. If you're doing 20 hours a day making $70,000, you need to jump off
Up
of
your
something.
game a little bit.
Hey, you need to jump off of something higher than the curve.
Yeah.
Right? Good stuff.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that, Jody.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, Shelter. Unmute yourself,
Hello,
please.
good evening, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
Good.
Yeah, I have been making between 50 and 70 calls a week because I have workout partners that we report to our field trainer every Monday, the number of calls that we make. And I
Between
need
50 and 70?
50 and 70 a week, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. I love it. And are you calling CDLP, or are you calling regular group, or are you calling networkers? Who are you calling?
CDLP and regular groups. So now I'm focusing more on CDLP 3 days a week.
Gotcha.
Starting January, I need to focus completely on CDLP because that's where my passion is.
Gotcha. And are you pulling the company's safety scores and stuff before you start making calls, or are you calling in between? Are you doing that in between?
I'm sorry, come again, I didn't hear you.
Are you pulling the companies in between the calls, or are you pulling all the companies and preparing that before you start making any calls?
I do my research, call the companies, then when I get on a call, once I get them, then I pull it up again and look at the numbers whilst I'm talking to them.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, guys, and that's a good tip for you all too, because I know I talked to some of you all, and you guys are making calls, and you're not making as many calls as you can because you're calling and then researching the next company, and then calling and then researching the next company. And really, you should be doing your research a day before or a couple of days before, having a list of companies you're going to call, already have your safety scores pulled, and then just pull them up as a refresher on your computer while you're talking to that company. And then when you get to the next company, just pull that company's safety score and pull it up on the screen. But you shouldn't have to research the companies in between because it slows down your calls. So hopefully that's helpful to everybody. Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. And Sharanda, any input on any of this stuff? I know you work with I know some of these people you're working with on your Thursday call anyway. But like any input on any of this that's going on?
You're muted.
Thank you. It's kind of noisy. I'm sorry. On a call. I know. So like you said, I think the point you just made, researching beforehand. I remember back in the day, I used to do that, research and call. But now, I just keep a running list. If I get a few minutes, I'm researching. You know what I'm saying? The list is always prepared, you know, so that really helps. You'll be amazed if you go ahead and research how many calls you can get in.
Absolutely. No,
'Cause
that's
you know,
good stuff.
when you research and you tend to just like, oh, well, you get trapped in all those violations, you know what I'm saying? And you get thrown off and you find something like, you remember when we used to wonder what VMT was? You remember when that question used to come up all the time?
Right. Yeah.
So, but you imagine if you was new and you were researching and that came up. Now you got to go figure out I wonder what that means. So yeah, I think beforehand is good. I think that was a good tip right there.
Yeah. That's been and I remember when I was calling before CDLP. I mean, when I was just calling groups, I was talking to somebody the other day about I used to literally go to like the chamber or whatever, or the African American chamber or wherever had the directory, and I would get the year before directory because it's free because it's last year's directory. But 80% of the company is gonna be the same companies as the current year. I would take that directory, set that directory on my table, and open that sucker up and just call. And I wouldn't even do no research. I wouldn't check nothing. I would just call each company because I was trying to make 50 calls a day. And I would just call, and whatever they said to me, it didn't even matter. I was just really trying to call 50 a day because Scott at the time, I can't think of Scott's last name or first name, whatever it was. Scott Brooks, I had been to a training that he had done, and he had said, you remember when he was working with that phone that had minutes because they were so broke that he literally had a phone with minutes on it, and he was making 50 calls a day. And he was like, I was making 50 calls a day and closing one group on the 50 calls. Now he wasn't closing them that day, but eventually he was doing 1 for 50. So he was doing 250 calls a week, doing 50 a day, 5 days a week. And he had to do that in a certain amount of time because he only had a certain amount of minutes on the phone. So I just started calling 50 a day and I wasn't doing no research. So, I mean, when you're really just calling through a list, you can really make a lot of calls. 2 hours on that blitz is a really significant amount of time to make calls. It is. You should at least be making 30 calls during that blitz. And if you do your own blitz again that week, just on your own or with accountability partners or whatever, you should be doing about 60 calls a week just between those 2 days if you've done some research already. So that's good stuff. So Louise Bates, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking.
Oh, unmute yourself, please. I just bullied you. Like, unmute yourself. You doing okay over there?
I'm doing all right.
Good. So how are you calling going? Are you doing more than just a blitz day or?
The last couple of weeks I have been doing more than the blitz day. I've gotten a couple of appointments as a result of dialing through the blitz, and I've included 2 other days where I'm doing other calling and follow-up calls.
Okay, good. Yep. Something I used to do is I used to mismatch. So I used to do Mondays, and I can't remember what day it was at this point, but I used to mismatch. So I would be like Monday initial call, Tuesday follow-ups, Wednesday initial call, Thursday follow-ups, Friday initial calls. So I would mix it up so that I could keep up and consistently follow up and consistently call on new companies. I know me and Jim Hicks was on the phone, and I was telling Jim on a Zoom, and I was telling Jim Hicks how when I used to take my son to school, I would literally take my son to school and then go to the gas station or the truck stop that was near my son's school, and I would pull into the truck stop, get a cup of coffee, and I would sit there for like an hour and a half. And I would just take the DOT numbers down for every truck that pulled into the truck stop. And then when I saw a guy going, sometime I would go on behind him and talk to him. But I was trying to get to the companies. I was never trying to close the person walking in. But that's how I got a lot of DOT numbers way in the beginning, is I would literally just go to the truck stop, back my car in, go get a cup of coffee, and I would sit there. And as they come in, I would take a picture of the DOT number. I had my pad. I would write the company information down, and then that would be somebody I had on my list. And it didn't matter where they was at. You know what I mean? Because if I needed somebody in another state, I would just do a commission split or something like that. So that's what I was doing in the beginning, just to get numbers. So, Sharanda, anything?
Not going out at all.
Louise, what you say, Louise?
I said I'm not going out at all. So if I do go out, then it's whatever is outside my window across the street. But I'm looking up the trucking companies, DOT looking at their safety out of service records. It's too cold right now.
Oh yeah, well, I'm in Florida, so
I mean,
you know what I mean?
well, we're in
So
Wisconsin.
it's like 74 degrees today. So I mean, you know what I mean? It doesn't. I don't have a whole bunch of cold weather here. So and you know how it is. When you take your kids to school, they don't matter what the weather is. You got to take it. So I was doing it when I was taking my son to school, because that early in the morning, those trucks were gassing up. So it was a good time to catch them. So if anybody's in the position to do that, that really does work. So if you're already out taking them kids to school, you forced to get up, make use of that time and collect some information. Good stuff. Appreciate you, Miss Bates. Good stuff. Good stuff. Freddie Gibson, if you can unmute yourself real quick.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Better than I deserve. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a good Monday for me. So how's your calling going? You've been doing more than just a blitz day?
I typically do calls every day of the week. I don't do as many on blitz day. I actually wind up doing a lot more the rest of the week. So I'm averaging probably around 50 new calls a week. But the rest of the time I'm doing follow-ups from like the week before or something like that. So, or servicing one of my larger clients.
Okay, good stuff. And just as a reminder too, guys, some of the stuff I was doing too, remember, I didn't have a 9 to 5. So when I tell you I sat down and made 50 calls a day, I didn't have a job. So I had the time to do that. So if anybody's thinking, I don't know what I was doing that with a full-time job, I didn't have a full-time job. So if you got a full-time job, obviously you may not be able to make 50 calls a day. So just keep that in mind too as well. Sharanda?
No, I mean, I'm like you. I don't have a full-time job either.
Yeah, so it's in the beginning that was a struggle for me because I sold off my business too fast, but it was what it was. But I never had that experience of having that full-time deal and trying to do LegalShield. So for those that are doing that, of course, do what you can, make the calls you can in the time you can. But if you're at home all day or you work from home and you have that chance to make those calls, hammer those calls out, because that's how you're gonna build that business. So thank you for that, Freddie. Miss Rose, how are you? Unmute yourself, please.
Fantabulous.
Good to hear you. So you're making more calls than just the blitz? Or you just doing the blitz? How you doing it over there?
No, I'm making calls 4 times a week. 30 calls per day on those. I just had a calendar made up, matter of fact, so I can commit to it through the 12-week year. So I'm making 30 calls 4 days a week, 1 day for follow-up. And I have an appointment in the morning at 8. I don't go out, but I do have one face-to-face in the morning at 8. So that's what I'm doing each week.
All right, good stuff. No, that's good. That's a good amount of calls too. You said you're making 30 calls in on your calling time that you're devoting to every day. You're doing about 30 calls.
Yeah, 2 hours, just like the blitz. So I have 4 blitz a week, and then one for on Friday. I'm sorry, follow up. So that's my commitment for this the calendar that I had made up. I'm sorry, to commit to those days for dials.
Okay, no, that's good. That's excellent. So you're doing about 120 calls a week.
Right. I started. Yeah. I've just had this calendar put together for me. I was hospitalized, but I'm okay now. But so I'm getting back to following up on the other on the calls that I missed last week.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. And that's just course correction. So things will happen. So when things happen like that, you just do that course correction and you get back on the horse. Absolutely. Right. No, that's good stuff. Appreciate that. Sharanda, anything?
Nope. She's
Good.
using the 12-week year. That's a plus for a lot of, I use that in the, I still use it, but I've been doing a 12-week year, and I think that's good for those individuals that may work, time blocking, learning how to prioritize your day when you don't have a lot of time. That book and a couple of other books will help you to do that with time blocking. So if you haven't checked that out, for those that, may have other things going on, or you have a job, learning how to do time blocks and, running your business and running your life through your calendar is important. You can really learn how much time you're wasting, for one, and how much time you can get back if you do it properly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in our circle, in our circle of 5, we have all developed or had our calendars developed for that, so that we can do more dials. So it's working.
Absolutely. Right. And you're doing the class with Tony Agars, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah. I heard his class. I heard that course is pretty good. I got some people that I work with that's in his course as well. No, that's good. That's excellent stuff. So appreciate that, Miss Rose. And the last person we got here is Jackie Hamilton. What's going on, Jackie? Tim, like I just talked to you an hour ago. Unmute yourself.
Hey, everybody. Well, I guess I'll be taking a lot of time because I actually don't. When I do my calls, I do it like you said. I set them up the day before, or a couple of days before. But I write everything out. So I don't I write it all out. I don't go back into the computer because I had that paper there. So when I'm talking to them and I'm calling them, I know what they said, what I need to say, because I'm like more or less getting in a lot of training, doing a lot of field training with Sharanda. So I'm learning how to deal with the objectives and things like that. So I write each person out. So I probably do about 20 to 30 on the Blitz day. And I may get 1 to 3 appointments out of that. Now, last week when I heard you mention about doing some other days, I started for the first time doing the CDL calls on, and I started with Monday because I've been networking, so I do 6 to 7 hours every day, and that was in my networking. But I'm getting ready to move a lot of that over to the CDLP because that's what my passion is at now. So I'm gonna be doing more CDLP calls. But in the past, this is what I've done, and set appointments, and where Sharon has been helping me with that. And like I said, the field training. So I probably take a lot more time because I sit there and write everything out, each one of them. And then when I get ready to call them, I'll know what this said. And then I can say, well, what did I say this? Should I say that? What I could say better, or the ones I have to call back. Now I went back and I took over a lot of other calls that I did, like follow-ups, and I put them into Monday. So I'm gonna be doing more. I'm gonna try to do more CDLP like 3 times a week rather than just on the Blitz day, because that's all.
Oh no, that's good. No, excellent. And at some point here in the near future, I know I spoke to Jim Hicks and Wilma Haynes about this last week. We spoke about using your calendar to take notes. So that's something else you can do as opposed to writing everything down. So even if you have like a Asana or some, one of these other CRM situations where you're writing stuff in, I don't know whether you're handwriting or typing the stuff. But when I was making like 50 calls a day or whatever, 30, 50 calls a day, whatever, however many I was making at the time, I would use my calendar. I would have my Google Calendar up, and because that's where my appointments were at anyway. And I would type the information right into that calendar information, the note-taking spot. And now if you have something that you want to put it in afterwards, like a CRM, you can always just cut and paste. Now you're not like having all this paperwork and all this handwriting stuff down. You can just type stuff up, especially if you got 2 computers. two screens that you can use. You can be typing and putting the information. It just moves along a little bit faster for me when I did it that way, as opposed to writing on the yellow tablet. Because at one time I was writing on yellow tablets, then I just started using the Google Calendar because it was easier for me to type and then cut and paste to another system where I can keep track of it. So that's something we could talk about in the future. And I know I'll talk about it a little bit on here too as well, because there's a lot of people that's losing a lot of time note taking. And they're doing it. They're note taking the wrong way. You have to note take, obviously, but they're note taking in a way where it's slowing down their calls massively. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that. So good stuff. Sharanda?
No, that's good. I mean, I know Jackie is in a 12-week year too. So, and I know she do a lot of time blocking and boxing as well. So, but you know, I'm like Jackie though. I write too. And that has been a struggle too, of keeping up with my prospects and things like that. You know, sometimes I'm all over the place. You know, I got 3 or 4 different papers, so I keep up with mine digitally and on paper. Because sometimes, I don't know, just going digitally, that tends to slow me down. Then I don't know. But yeah, Jackie, that's some good points.
I understand.
Thank you.
Oh,
No, I'm just
all right.
saying. I'm just saying. I get lost in my mess. So, you know, Jackie, those some good points.
Hey, we're gonna do one more before we go over here to this LegalShield at Work. I'm gonna go ahead and hit wind the bell. Then I'll do this again next week to see if we get some more people, because it's encouraging, guys. When you guys come on and speak like this, it's encouraging for the people who aren't making calls at all, or just started making 5 or 10 calls, and they're wondering should they be doing more. It's good for them to hear from other people who are making calls, so they'll have a guide, somewhat of a benchmark. So Wanda?
Yes, peace and good evening to everyone. I make calls more than just on the Blitz. The Blitz, though, I get to make the most calls because I work from home on that day, and I take 2 hours of vacation. And so I do make calls other than just Tuesday. And the truckdriver.com, what I've been doing is also, I mean, and on Mondays, sometime on Mondays I do, because I know Mondays are busy for folks. And then that also gives me an opportunity to catch up and look for new prospects. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, when I have to work, I call on my lunch break, but then I look for companies in Oklahoma with a different Texas, with a different hour. So yeah, thank you. So the different time zones. So when I go into work, I don't have to stay all day. So if I can get home like by 3 o'clock, that's only 2 o'clock in Oklahoma. And so I've been doing that. So what my goal is 10 calls a day with 1 appointment, and I want to close three businesses per month. And but being able to do the different time zones, that's been helpful, because if I don't get 10 calls in on my lunch, then I can come home and make some. And a lot of times I get more than 10, because you get the gatekeeper or it's a wrong number. I got to do research, but that's my goal, my minimum. And the truckdriver.com is very, very helpful with that.
No, that's good. That's good. And I'm glad you got an action plan, because you have to have a plan. Because some of us, I remember it was a time where I was just calling. Like it wasn't even no plan. I was just like, I'm just going to hit the phone for this amount of time, and whatever these people say is what I'm going to write down. And it wasn't a plan. It wasn't until later on that I started like strategizing. Again, after I heard Scott Brooks as well say, I'll make 50 calls. I get 5 people that agree that I can meet with them. 3 of them actually follow through on that meeting. 2 of them end up going flat. And out of the 3 meetings I have, I end up opening 1 group. So basically he made 50 calls and ended up opening a group. So that was his numbers when he made those calls. Then I started creating an action plan and then creating numbers and that I could go by. So I can say, okay, when I make this many calls, I get this many sales, I open up this many groups. And that helped me build up my income because I was able to say, okay, if I make this many calls, if I increase my calls, I'll increase my sales. I started knowing what my numbers were. And that's good that you have a plan to say, hey, I'm gonna make this many calls, I'm gonna close this many, and you're gonna shoot for that. And even if you don't do it, you're shooting for something because you're not always gonna know it always flat down. But it's good to have an idea because you're gonna hit or miss, a couple of degrees, but that's fine. No, that's good.
I write down too, but I print out the first page and then I write down. And so I try not to call them the same day. So if I call them tomorrow, if I don't get anybody, like next week, I might call Wednesday. I try not to call on the same day. Then if I reach somebody, I try and space it. So I don't want to stalk anybody. And that also keeps me calling new people. But I'm a writer too. I'll be writing on that. And if I don't write down, like, what did I say to that person? So yeah, putting it in the calendar, I might have to upgrade to digital or something. But right now, writing works for me.
Yeah. And do it works. I mean, when I go over the calendar stuff, I'm gonna go over it. And people that want to do it digitally can do it that way. Some people are gonna be more comfortable handwriting. So, you do whatever fits your personality so that you can, get the most done. I just know when I moved from writing to calendar, it was better for me because I was able to keep it in one place. I had to put it on my calendar anyway, right? I had to put the next appointment on my calendar anyway. So to me, it made more sense to just put the notes in my calendar and then just change to the next time I was gonna call. Got that done, and then it made it easier. Then I didn't have all these papers, and I was going to make calls. And then if I was going somewhere else, going to my mom's house, going out of town, now I got to haul all this stuff because I got to have all my notes and all that. When it's digital, it's in the cloud, it can solve that problem. So so that's why I moved over to that. So Taranda, anything on that?
You're muted.
Nope, that's me. Everywhere I go, I got a whole bunch of junk. Trying to file paper. Trying to make sure I got all my notebooks. So good tips.
But you know what I do is I have folders Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the days that I'm going to follow up are in that folder. So I don't have to take all of them that day. Because usually I got to take it to work if I'm going to make calls at work. So I'll take my Wednesday folder to work on Wednesday. I'm still carrying that around too. But yeah, so that way I'm not carrying all of my paperwork, just the calls I'm making that day.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right, good stuff. So let's take a look at LegalShield at Work and see what we got going on here. All right, so on LegalShield, I'm gonna see if I can blow this up a little bit so you guys can see it better. So once you become a group person, or you open your first group, I should say, not become a group person. Once you open up your first group, LegalShield is gonna give you access to LegalShield at Work. And they will also give your account administrator access to LegalShield at Work as well. And then you will know once you log in, and don't mind all my explanation points, make sure you don't have yours looking like this. That means corporate is looking at taking those groups. So you see all these red ones? If I don't get those reds fixed, I'll tell you how to do that. They're gonna take these from me. So don't let yours look like that. I just been busy. So let me show you guys something real quick. Oh, let me make it a little bit smaller so you can see the whole screen. All right, there we go. All right, so let's take this group right here. So that you know who else is in there with you. So meaning that corporate will send something to that company so that they can go in this as well. They can add people as new employees. They can take people out of there as new employees. They can pay their bill through here as well. So if I go down here to servicing, I believe that's where it's at. Servicing information, it should be back here. Let me see.
Just a disclaimer, they can only do that if it's a payroll account.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, If it's a payroll, only if it's a payroll account, guys, which most of you guys are CDLP, you're not going to be doing the payroll account, so that's not going to be the circumstance for you all. If you're not doing the payroll, I know some of y'all still are, but I don't see, this one is a payroll account, I believe. But I still don't see it, so I must be in the wrong place. Hold on, let me check. Where's that?
But you go back to the first screen at the bottom that shows who has access. Right there down.
Oh, here?
It's on the first page, wherever your first page. Is that the first page?
Yeah, account information.
So is your name down at the bottom?
Oh, no, you know what? No, it's because this is one of my bank draft groups. Hold on.
Okay, no, go down some more. Go down some more. Go down. Right there, user accounts. Right there. That's all the people who have access right there. And the plan administrator would be there as well.
Yeah, the plan administrator would be here. Right here. All I have is people that I have on the group with me. So that's why you don't see the administrator here. So I'm gonna go to a different group where it's the actual payroll group where you'll see that at. Because that's why it's not showing that.
It's not showing that because the person who is over just didn't accept the link. Bank draft people have the same access. They just have to accept it though. You know what I'm saying?
So this is it right here. Like see where it says Joanne Wheeler, plan administrator. And it says set up, and then it says active here for me. So set up here and set up here. That means that they haven't gone in and done and set this up for themselves. So I'm the only one that's actively back here doing anything. But your people who are working with you on the group, and if you give them access. So if you have associates that are on the group with you, you have to give them access to LegalShield at Work. So just because they're on a split with you, they don't automatically have it. So you normally have to send an email to corporate and request. So if I had a group and so I had people in Georgia and I said, well, Sharanda, could you work the Georgia side for me? And I gave her a split on the group with me. I would then have to email corporate and say, can you give Sharanda Ivy, give them her associate number and say, give her access to the group on LegalShield at Work. And then they will allow her to have this group on her LegalShield at Work as well. But that's not automatic. You do have to send an email for that, just so you know. I know somebody was telling me that they do it on the original authorization form. They send it in. I've never done it on the authorization form to see if corporate will do it automatically. I normally just send a separate email. Do they, Willie, Sharanda?
Yeah, they just recently asked you to add it in the comment section.
Okay.
Yeah, they had asked you to start putting it in the comment section if you wanted somebody added to the group like that. Gotcha. You know, to give them access when you set it up.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So again, obviously, guys, this stuff is all obvious. This is all, and if you guys have any questions about anything, just drop it in the chat, and then one of us will get to the question. I know particularly Sharon normally catches the questions and she'll ask them. But if you got any questions, just let us know. But this is general information. So obviously, you know, you guys know you can update the contact information here. You can edit certain things. You can't edit everything. So when you click edit, it's not going to let you edit everything because there's certain things you can't change on the company. So, you know, just know that. Hold on. But generally speaking, most of the things on this page are going to be common knowledge, right? So, you know, just the information on the company. And then here are all the plans. So when you hear us say, put everything on the group authorization form so that all of the options are there, the reason why we do that is for this reason. So I want to make sure that all of the things that are available to that group that I'm working. So if I go to enroll somebody, and I say I'm going to enroll a new member, when I put the state, it's going to let me know what plans are available in that state. Because I put all the plans in the group on the authorization form. So if all I put on the authorization form was the legal plan, that's all that would show up here. So that's why we say when you do your group authorization form, put all the plans there. That way, all your plans show up, and you never have to worry about emailing corporate to say add a plan when somebody asks for something or request something that you have not added to the group. So, do all of that up front before you move anything on that. Sharon, do you want to add anything? I want to make sure I'm opening it up to you while we're talking. You good?
That's good.
So that's generally what you're seeing on this page. Again, we talked about this. This is who have access to LegalShield at work for this particular account. And of course, what exporting the user list means. It just means exporting it out, like you would export contacts on anything else. So you got your billing information. This is the billing information. This shows up here because this is a payroll group. So it's going through payroll. So this is how the billing is looking. Not something that I particularly look at. All they're showing is month to month what they're billing the company for the amount of people who may have the membership at any given time. So it'll show you here the process date, how much they're billing that company for, based on the amount of people who have the membership. On your enrollment admin, this is where you're enrolling new people into the membership here. So you see this group has 3 members in it, last name, first name. If I want to know what's going on with that member, I just click and it'll let me know, over here, view, and it'll let me know, what that member has. If I want to cancel the membership or any of that kind of stuff, I can cancel it based on different on different dates and stuff. So if I click view and I decide that, if I get a call from the company and say, hey, look, somebody needs to cancel, I can cancel, I can click cancel, and then it'll ask on that cancellation, like effective date to cancel. So you can put that there. You can also update the members as well back here. So that's how you keep up with your people on that. Show you something else in enrollment. And Sharanda, if I'm talking about something and you got something to add, just jump in. So I want to make sure you can, talk a little bit about this. So when I go to enroll a new member, which is to me is the simplest way to do things, right? Now, depending on what kind of account you have, most of my accounts is just the last 4. But I do have some accounts that require the entire social. Some companies do want the whole social. So I do have a few companies that do require that, but most of my companies is just the last 4. You're going to put the date of birth, the employee ID number. I never put anything in that. The phone numbers, obviously, that's obvious stuff. Cell phone. You must have an email. That's why it's an asterisk there. So you must have an email for that client. Over here, city, state, zip code, address, first name, last name, and then the effective date of the membership. So whatever date it's going to start, you're going to click on that and go ahead and drop that calendar in there for whatever date it's going to start. You're going to choose the plans. The plans will show up once you put the state in here. So once I drop that state, Florida, it'll show the plans and I can just choose whatever plan I want here. This is where the plan is bundled already. John talked about this last week where they have the plans bundled. That's what this is. $27.90 is showing this plan already bundled together. The family legal with the one bureau ID shield, right? So that's showing the bundle price. I just click it and it's going to automatically do the bundle. If I want to add dependents, I come down here, I click add dependent, first name, last name, date of birth, spouse. If it's a dependent, I'm gonna click here and just change it to dependent. So it's real simple to put people in online that way. This is showing the split 65. I got a 65-35 on this split. So I do a 35% split with a business partner of mine. And I'm 65 and him and his wife 35%. So that's showing the commission share for this particular group. Just so you guys know. Right? Sharanda, anything?
Nope.
Reports. I don't know if you deal with this, Sharanda, at all. I never look at the reports for anything. Every now and then I have to pull something up on somebody. Do you ever use this for anything?
Absolutely. So when you get a conservation group, you can go in here because you can see the canceled members, you can see the active members. So I use it to upgrade because some of my accounts are old accounts, just to touch bases, even though, especially if it's a conservation group, that associate may not be working in business anymore. So I try to keep the members up to date on things. So I have my CRM system that I use just to send out bulk things with that. But also the canceled members could be potential new clients for you because you didn't originally write them. So, and all the information that was originally put in the system is in that report. And so therefore, you can start to build a campaign and reach out to those members just to keep them abreast of what's going on in the company. And if they want to sign back up, that could be a potential new client for you.
Absolutely, good stuff. Well, I got some homework to do because I wasn't doing that.
Yeah,
So I know.
I mean, you got prospects in that LegalShield at Work, especially if you get a lot of conservation groups.
That's good stuff. That's a good tip. So if we end the night now, guys, y'all got that was an excellent tip to add to add some prospects and to make the most out of that group and protect it a little bit better. I like the way Sharonda's doing that there. Here, this is just resources. So if you need any W-9 forms, the group benefits guide, LegalShield at Work quick start guide, and you would use that quick start guide for that person that's using it on the other side. So if you had if Sharanda had a company and I opened up a group with her company and she was going to have access to LegalShield at Work as the owner of the company to go back there and do stuff, I would send her the LegalShield at Work quick start guide, and that will show her how to do certain things there as well. You can use it yourself, but I normally use it for my admin people. And then of course the member payment option form, if they're going from they're leaving the company and they're going to be paying on their own now for the membership, that's the member payment option form that you can use. And then that's the one for Canada. Then a natural disaster flyer, you can grab that there if you're working with a company that's in a state where it's been a natural disaster. So those are some resources that you can use that are right back here. Sharanda, anything on that?
No.
Good. All right. So servicing, this is how you keep those little explanation marks that you saw on about 9 of my groups. That's how you keep those from showing up, by servicing that group. So, and this will show you people who have access to the group too. So these are people that I have worked the group, because sometimes I'm not in town. So like this is the guy that's in Florida that I'll have worked the group when I'm not in town. This is both of these are the same people. That just one is husband and one is wife. They're both on the group. They work it if I'm out of town. A lot of times when I'm in town, I'll work it. If I'm not in town, I'll have one of them working. So I have them on the group that's authorized to work the group, and then I'll do the split for whoever's going to do it. So I'll change that split if I need to get one of them in there to take care of that group for me if I'm for some reason not available to take care of it. So everybody who's authorized is there. You can remove the authorization right here. You can add an authorized associate right back here. You cannot add a commission split back here. You do have to do a commission split agreement in order to add somebody to a commission split. So you can't digitally do that by just adding them back here. So just understand that you can add and take away authorized associates, but you cannot add and take away commission split back here in LegalShield at Work. So make sure that you understand that as well. So again, that's showing the commission split 65-35. And then this is where you're servicing the group, right? So open enrollment month is February. If that changes, if this is the company, if the company I'm working in, Sharanda's company, and she says, hey, Dunbar, this year we're doing our open enrollment in October, I will go in here, click update. Enrollment eligibility, evergreen. That means I can go on whenever I want. Open enrollment with new hires would be like for CDL, new hire orientation. You would put new hire orientation, or if it's just regular open enrollment that you're doing annually or quarterly or however often that company is doing open enrollment, you're going to choose based on that, whatever kind of enrollment is going to be, right? So you would put that there. And for me, it's really open enrollment only, because this particular company does open enrollment once a year, this housing authority, and it's February. So if I was going to change it, I would just click, go to whatever month I needed to go to, and then click it, and then I would just update it. And now corporate knows. And why is this important? Because corporate will send you an email when it gets close to the time to update to services group. They'll say, hey, congratulations, you got a group in your LegalShield at Work that has an upcoming open enrollment. So LegalShield will send you a reminder email based on you letting them know in back here that open enrollment is February. So LegalShield does help with that. So it helps you when you're busy, you got a lot of stuff going on, you have that coming in. Right? No enrollment dates found. If you had some here, you would put them in here, and they would just load down here. On the submitting the report, right? You would just submit the report here. So if I want to submit a report on this company, I'm gonna click it. Here's all the information. It's real simple when I'm doing this group service and report. The last date contacted, I'm gonna put that here. I'm gonna click here and put the last date I contacted them. If the contact name still remains the same, I'm gonna leave that. If not, I'm gonna change it. Contact title, when I click that, it'll give me different titles. CEO, CFO, vice president, whoever the person is for the company. The email, the contact email for the person, right? Most of this is gonna be in here already. If it needs to change, change it. If it doesn't need to change, don't bother with it. Future contact date, right? When are you gonna see them again? So this is the last time I went and saw them. This is the next time I'm gonna see them, right? Then reason for no appointment. So if I don't have an upcoming appointment, I'm gonna let LegalShield know why I don't, right? No, they're no longer interested in the benefits. No, they're not responding. No response from the group, or only allows online enrollment. Whatever the reason is, I'm gonna click that box and put it there. Is this group unresponsive or non-productive, right? Here, I'm gonna click on that. Yes, I need help. Yes, but I do not need help at this time. Not applicable. This group is responsive. So if they're responding to me, I'm gonna mark that box based on that. If yes, what actions are you taking to re-engage with the group, right? Not applicable because the group is responsible. Or in-person visit, I'm gonna call the group, I'm gonna email the group, or I'm gonna contact the trainer or another associate for help, right? So those are the responses that you can put there. If you need assistance with the group, how can we help? This is LegalShield asking you to put if you need assistance from them. You're gonna type that in a box. If you want the group to be reassigned to somebody else, please reassign this account, click yes. If no, you click no, and then put comments about that group, whatever comments you need to make, right? The last time I spoke to them, they said this, that, or the other. Whatever comments that you have, you put those there, and then you go ahead and you click save, and then it will update. It will update that group in the system. It's probably gonna tell me I didn't put nothing in there, but
Robert, we do have one question.
okay, go ahead.
Allison, whereas the administrative person, is it someone who works for the company you enrolled, like the HR person or office manager?
Yes, the administrative person is whoever, when you did the group authorization form, there's a space that says plan administrator. Whoever you put there is going to be the plan administrator back here. That's why you put them on the group authorization form. That could be whoever they say it is. It could be the HR rep. It could be the owner that owns the company and they're the HR rep. It could be, like, for instance, me, when I'm doing schools, it's the vice president, it's the vice principal. That's the plan administrator, because that's who I go through. So it just depends how you want to do it. How often am I servicing the group? Me, not enough to answer that question. But you should be doing that. You should be going in here and servicing the group. I would say, to be safe, do it every 90 days, but you can get away with doing it every 6 months. But if you're visiting the groups and you're doing stuff, you should be doing it every time. So whenever you're doing anything with the group, whether it be sending an email, calling, service it back here too. So if you're following up on this company once a month, then you should be servicing it back here once a month. So everybody does it differently when they're doing it. So Sharanda, you want to speak to that?
I'm with you. Every time I do something to the group, whether I make a phone call or send an email, I try to update it. And if I don't update it at that time, it's in my notes, of course. So if I don't go in and do my servicing reports before corporate asks me to, I can just go back in my notes. But it's good to just keep a tab if you're sending them something, if you email them, if you call to just check on them, just drop in. That would be the best thing. You'll never get those red dots. But if you don't, that's corporate way of reminding you with those red exclamation points. It's time for you to do some type of contact.
And something else to keep in mind too, corporates sometimes have glitches and errors. So it's good to go in and check your accounts, meaning that this particular account, so I'm glad I'm in this one. I actually just did an enrollment for them about 3 months ago, and I serviced the group and sold memberships. But it's saying here that my servicing report, no servicing reports found. But I did actually go in there and service a report back here, and I put in 3 memberships. But for some reason, it's not showing here. So if it's not showing there, it's not showing. So I would have to go in and do it again. So just so you guys know, and I've had that happen before where I've serviced a group in LegalShield at work. And then when I went back to go look or to service it again, it won't show me the last servicing report. So it's just glitchy, it's digital stuff. So sometimes it'll glitch. So keep an eye on your groups. In particular, if you see the exclamation mark, click on it. Even if you're saying it shouldn't be an exclamation mark there because I serviced it before, don't matter. Go in there and service it again because that means LegalShield is not seeing it. And they can only go by what they're saying. LegalShield don't know you service it. It's not showing up. So you got to just go in there and do it again. Sometimes you have to do that. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. So just know if it happens, don't worry yourself wondering why it happened. Just service it again. I mean, just go in there and type it in there again. That's all. And then just move on from there. So anything else, Strand? Good?
Good.
All right, we have another question. In the CDLP space, we quote the weekly rates. It looks like we use monthly rates in LegalShield at work. Can you address that, please?
Yeah. It's showing monthly on here because I had this group. I had this group as whatever. Let me see. Let me look at this group. I think this group is payroll. So let me see. So pay period. So this is a bank draft. This is a payroll group. So that's why this is set up this way. But if you had a CDL group and you put it in weekly, it's going to show up back here as weekly. If it doesn't, just let LegalShield know. Now, I've had groups that'll show up wrong back here for pay period, and I'll call corporate and let them know, and they'll fix it. So I don't know how it ends up showing up wrong. I think somebody just punches something in wrong, but you can have it so that it's showing up weekly. You just have to call and change it sometimes. So I hope that answers the question. Shram, you got anything to add to that?
When the person said we quoted, yeah, we're taught to speak in weekly, but that doesn't necessarily mean the group is set up that way. The group still can be set up like this is a bank draft, and so like a CDLP group, if it was bank draft, of course they were going to pay monthly. We still might quote the $6.91 or whatever the combo is. But if it's a bank draft, it's monthly. If it's a payroll, it'll show that. It'll have. So Dunbar, go back to the first screen of this group. And scroll down where your benefits, the plans. So right there where it shows available plans, it says deductible amounts. And that's monthly amounts. If it was a group which on a payroll would allow you to do weekly, it would show the weekly amounts of the deduction. On the deduction, it would show the weekly amounts. And then at the side on the monthly, it'll show what the monthly total would be. Now, but if it was set up that they wanted this to be done weekly, when he goes back to that other screen, you'll see $6.91. That's what you will see, and it will show that for the weekly amount. And it shows here too, weekly and then the monthly amount. But when under Enroll admin, it'll show the $6.91. We talk in weeks, but it just depends on what the group is set up. And if it's truly a weekly deduction, which has to fall up on the payroll deduct, it would reflect that in LegalShield at work. But if you're just talking, in general, because normally that's how commercial drivers get paid weekly, but they decided that the drivers was going to pay, or even if it was a payroll, when they call and verify that group, they ask the plan administrator, whoever they're talking to, when do you want deductions to start? And how often do you, want those deductions? A payroll person can actually say, oh, we're just going to deduct once a month. I have some schools that are payroll and they deduct once a month. So it depends on how the company wants the deduction. It doesn't really matter how they get paid. So, because they ask them that when they call, how do you want your deduction set up? And so they'll set them up, even if it's a payroll group and they get paid weekly, the plan administrator could still say we can set this up on a monthly draft from our clients. From
So
our
Sharanda, to the example that you just gave, that's why I switched to groups that was up here. That was the group that I had up here all the time. That was the perfect example. That is a company who is on payroll, but they do monthly. That's why it showed monthly, even though it was a payroll group. And then this group, you see where it's showing this is a regular group, but they do 52 weeks because they do trucking. Now, it's a regular company, but they do deliveries too. So they actually do payroll 52 weeks. So you see here, it says pay period 52. So if you got any trucks on payroll, trucking companies on payroll, it's going to show 52 like this for 50. If it's doing weekly, you're going to show 52 pay periods. And then you see where it says here, deduction amount, $437, like Sharanda was saying, but the monthly amount is $18.95. So that's showing that the client is paying $18.95 a month, but they're deducting $437 a week out of their paycheck.
Absolutely, that's correct. Exactly.
So that's the example that Sharanda was just telling you guys. So this is a good example because this is how your trucking companies will look for CDLP if you do a payroll, because most trucking companies do 52 weeks. So I want to address one more thing, Sharanda, on the idea of enrolling trucking companies under this enrollment admin, because you know it's a little bit different for CDLP, and we didn't touch that. So real quickly, guys, before we finish up, just so you guys know. So when you go to enroll somebody and it's CDLP, it is going to be a little bit different here, meaning that if that person lives in a state that is a licensed state and you don't have that license, you're not going to be able to enroll that CDL driver back here, because there's no way to let corporate know that that person is not there when you sign them up. So you know our rule in CDLP, right? So if Sharanda's buying a plan from me and she happens to be in New Jersey, she happens to live in New Jersey, but she's in Georgia at the time, well, I can enroll her because she's in Georgia, even though she lives in New Jersey, which is a licensed state. That's how that works with CDLP. But if I was doing it back here, I can't put that she's in Georgia right now. I have to put her actual address, which is New Jersey. And they're not going to let me submit this back here, or they're not going to give me credit for they're not going to give me credit for that membership because I don't have a New Jersey license. So keep that in mind. CDLP could be a little bit tricky. So make sure wherever that driver lives at, that you either have a license there or it's an unlicensed state. If that's the case and you can't put them in back here, you're going to have to put that driver in on paper. You can't do it back here. Sharanda?
Yeah, that's true. Yep, you have to do a paper app. So I have, I've had to do that. And be careful with that membership. That membership effective date. We talked about this on the accountability call, because you don't want if you don't because this is a 10-day waiting period. Don't do anything unethical, dating stuff back because you want to say, oh, this person was covered, because the law firm is going to question that. So you have to make sure you do it right. It's like if I wrote a membership Friday and the day's Monday, I wrote it Friday. I'll put the Friday's date. But don't be dating stuff back 10 days and things like that. Just say, oh, they were covered. No, don't do that. Do things ethically. That's why that membership effective date. We can do, maybe for whatever reason they didn't have the payment at the time, but you had the app on a certain date. You need to let them know though, hey, I know we're turning this in on the 22nd, but you gave me the payment information on the 17th. You're gonna be billed on the 17th every month, not the 22nd. Things like that. You got to know that, because that's how it's gonna be. So be careful.
And as you guys see on here, it's only gonna let you go back so far. So if today's the 22nd, like here, I got the 22nd here, the calendar is only going to let me go back to the 7th. I can't go back further than the 7th. That's why they're not highlighted. So on digitally like this, LegalShield is only going to let me put, say the effective date is the 7th. Now, again, like Sharanda said, do it ethically. However, whenever the date really is, use that date. But just so you know, you can't go back farther than the 7th anyway, if you wanted to. So you would have to put a paper app in and request that if you was going to do further than the 7th, and it would have to be legitimate. As far as moving forward, you see that? You got all the space you need on moving forward on the effective date. But moving backwards, right? It stops at the 22nd of March. So I could put this membership in and make it effective as of all the way up until March 22nd of 2022. But as far as going back, only to the 7th. So you guys know that. So hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. I know it's 9:40. Hopefully you guys have gotten something else, especially those who've never been back here because you haven't opened up a group yet. You'll have an idea what to look forward to when you get back here. This does make it a lot more convenient to monitor your groups, to track them and all that other kind of stuff. So, Sharon, anything else you want to add?
No.
You good?
Robert.
Sharon, go ahead.
Yeah, Jackie asked one quick question. When they ask for your servicing, when they ask if you need help with the group not responding, do they, as in corporate, help, and how?
I've never clicked that, so I don't know what corporate does when you do that. I don't know whether they send an email or they reach out to the company, or whether they reach out to your regional person to do it, or whether they reach out to a field trainer. I've never had that experience. I normally just deal with it myself. So I don't know what corporate's action is after that. Sharanda, do you know?
I have no clue. I never clicked that.
Yeah. I probably would suggest you don't. So unless you plan on giving that group away, and then at that point you can tell them to reassign it and they will. I wouldn't make corporate think I need any help on the group. I mean, if you can't manage to contact a group, then reassign it. I mean, let corporate reassign it. I mean, that's what I would suggest. Just have them go ahead and take it back if you feel like you've been calling them for 6 months and nobody won't answer the phone, because that happens, especially with the conservation group. That'll happen because the person who set up the group originally may not be there. So it just always depends. But that's a good question though, Jackie. So I'm glad you asked that question so everybody would get that answer. Hey, Sharon, anything you wanted to add? I know you field train. I know you back here messing with all this stuff too as well. So you got anything to add?
Yeah, if you can, I think it's the account information page. There is one family, if you're working with a field trainer or not working with a field trainer, the amendment, absolutely. Check that on your group report sheet, page 2, right above the, I'm sorry, Robert, it might be the second one.
Here?
Above the, yes, please.
Oh, I'll just click through them all and just let me know, whichever.
Okay, the third one.
Let me see.
Because it's right at the top. All right, servicing information, please.
The admin is on the original
There it
paper.
is. The amendment on the second column, second one down.
Oh,
it
here.
says yes.
Mm-hmm.
On your group authorization form, please, 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 what that amendment does, it protects the employee, it protects the company. So the employees can never, ever, ever use it against the company. As in, if you have a disgruntled employee, somebody was getting harassed at work and they wanted to use LegalShield against ABC company, they can never use it. Even if they stop working today, come back 2 years from now, 17 years from now, 20 years from now, corporate has them coded as working at ABC company. And they know that even if they got a new membership from an individual rep, a different city and state or whatever, they can never say, hey, I want to use LegalShield against Human Resources Dunbar because of A, B, and C. So just be sure I highlight that on all my page 2 of the group authorization form. So whoever I'm training, if they ask me, why do you have that highlighted, Ms. Holiday? It's because of the company. You don't want the hand to bite you that you're feeding. So, and I don't want to have to pay up, because there's a dollar amount that if you need to go back and correct that, I don't know the number. I think it's $2.50 per application.
Oh, it's way
Or
more than that.
say that again, please.
It's way more than that.
It's way more than
wow.
that, right? Okay, so so you don't want to have that dollar amount hitting your commissions and or having the business owner, because that's the selling point. I always okay, Mr. Dunbar, we appreciate you allowing us to come in and educate your team with our program. And the best thing about it is they can never ever use this against you. I'll say that in my presentation, but it will come across that they will know if they had a question pertaining to the company, you can ask that. But if you have something that's working against the company, that you can never ever use it against ABC company. And they appreciate that when you let them know on the front end for their protection. So
Good
that was
stuff.
the only thing that I really did see, and I wanted to touch on that one.
Good stuff. And for those that are listening to Sharon, if you're saying, okay, so where does it? So if you didn't see last week's training, go back and listen to it. It's on the YouTube channel. We actually did the group authorization form last week. So go back and look at that, because these two go together. The reason why we did them in 2 different weeks is because I didn't have enough time, or we didn't have enough time. So we did it on 2 separate weeks. So last week's training and this week's training go together. So you'll see the box that Sharon's talking about if you look at week 1 training, because we go over every page of the authorization form, and you'll see the amendment box that she's talking about on the bottom of page 2. So go back and look at that training so you can see that box, so you can make sure you hit that box so that your group will have yes for this amendment, so that you're not paying that dollar amount per app at the company if you do not do it initially when you do the group authorization form. So thanks for that, Sharon. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. So we got the Blitz tomorrow. Thursday, Sharanda Ivy has her account. No, well, probably not this Thursday, right? Because it's Thanksgiving. Is that correct, Sharanda?
That's correct.
So
No,
not
we're
this.
not.
So y'all be having it next week, the following week.
Mhm.
Okay. So no accountability call this week, this Thursday with Sharanda's group, but next week, you guys will be back in action there. There's no more CDLP certification trainers until next year. So the one we did 2 weeks ago was the last one. So we're not gonna have any more of those to 2022. So just make sure you plugged in on Mondays here. Make sure you plug in on Thursday with Sharanda if you're doing some if you're out there working the business, and also the Facebook page, and just review the videos on the YouTube channel so that you can stay plugged in to what's happening there. Work with your field trainers if you got something going on, some business going on. You can have a field trainer from anywhere. I think I did a group, not this past Saturday, but last week Saturday, I worked a group with somebody in Texas, and he was there live and I was on Zoom. So he passed out the folders, he introduced me, I did the presentation over Zoom, and then he closed them out. So you can work with a field trainer from anywhere to do a presentation. They don't have to be in your state. So work with the people that you want to be working with. So make sure you get that taken care of. So appreciate you guys all. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Sharanda, any closing statements?
No.
You good? All right, guys. Look forward to everybody have a great Thanksgiving weekend coming up. We appreciate you guys. We look forward to seeing you guys next week, Monday.
Thank you.